So Rich, you'll start off with your number 10.
So number 10, I will go with Walter versus Ilya Dragonov. NXT Takeover 36, the way to end an era, a franchise, a and they did it in the UK and by themselves the previous year, and they came back this year with almost as equally almost as a violent match. They did a title change. They finally beat Walter. That was insane when you think about it, and then like it felt right when it happened, and it was like, yo, this is Dragunov dude's tough as fuck. Walter's like, he lost, but he's not. He doesn't look weak or anything. I don't think it was like he went through a war, and this was just great. 5 of the easiest stars I've ever given.
Yeah. Number 10 for me, Brian Danielson versus Minoru Suzuki from the Rampage buy-in in Miami, Florida on uh, October 15th. Man, like sometimes I think about the Bryanson run, and like I feel like this might be his. I feel like this might be underrated. Like I thought this match was incredible. I thought this match could have been a 5-star match had he decided to go like 3 more minutes. Um, but they just incredible striking. This is the match that I've always wanted Minoru Suzuki to have in front of an AEW crowd. Like I when they did the Moxley match, I thought they were going to do a part two of what they did in New Beginning 2020, but they didn't do that. It was a shorter match, but this was like the fully realized version of what Minoru Suzuki is for New Japan fans that have watched him or wherever he's been in the Japanese wrestling scene. But I just thought that like those two together, they unleashed on each other, and it was just fantastic and brutal and just an ass kicking slugfest, and I loved it.
Yeah, man. Number 9, Wonder Ring Stardom. Momo Watanabe versus Shuri in the finals of the 5-star Grand Prix. We talked about how great Shuri looked earlier that night against Takumi Iroha, and that is actually on my list as well. But the middle portion and then the match where it seems like she starts with half a gas tank and somehow like rides her car past this long stretch of land with no exits and outlasts Momo, who was on a full tank there, and literally kicks her way into the trophy, and kicks her way to back to Utami.
Yeah, that match is awesome. Like, well, like I feel like in a way like I feel like I almost did a disservice to Shuri by not putting her for like creative success of the year for the year on the thing, like her nomination, like saying like her whatever, like her title chase, like it was incredible. Like that match against Utami, and then the Grand Prix, and then the final, like that shit was so good, so good. Like what a wrestler. Um,
Yeah.
Number 9 for me, Kenny Omega versus Ray Phoenix, AEW World Title match from AEW Dynamite New Year Smash on January 6th. Man, like you put Kenny Omega in the ring with an elite luchador and like look the fuck out. Like he loves wrestling these fucking guys. Like they're awesome. And then he gets to be like this, I don't say a bully, but like he gets to do like things that he just doesn't do with guys that are like closer to his size and just special work. Like, you know, for a long time, this was like my number 2. This was like the second best match I had saw of the year for a few months. And then it got topped, but just awesome. Like I want him seeing do it again at some stage. Like whether it's I don't know where, when, and where. Hope maybe it's in Mexico, whatever. Like, but we need more of this. We need Kenny to get healthy, and I need him to go out there and shoot Vikingo his fade.
Number 8, Kenny Omega versus Ray Phoenix. um, First real defense of Kenny Omega's title reign, taking on one of his greatest opponents. I feel comfortable saying that. This was so fast, so electric. I believe this was a 17-minute match, if I'm not mistaken. Um, Ray Phoenix, the peak of explosion. Kenny, step for step with him. This was like, I was like, yes. Like when Kenny Omega won the championship, I was like, yo, this is like, let's go, let's fucking ride. Like this is where it's at. And this was overshadowed by January 6th, of course. It happening on that same day. But I always will remember this match as like, Kenny didn't get to go to Wrestle Kingdom. There was a pandemic, but it was like Wrestle Kingdom, and then the end of the, it was like Wrestle Kingdom was the 4th, and then the 5th, and then on the 6th, Kenny Omega and Phoenix got the answer, and they did.
Number 8 for me, Kazuchika Okada versus Will Ospreay, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Wrestle Kingdom 15, night 1, January 4th. They had a match at this year's Wrestle Kingdom that was better. And I also believe that they've had G1 matches that have also been like 5 stars or of that ilk. But this was like the first realized match where they were seen somewhat on similar levels as opposed to just in a tournament. And after the heel turn from Ospreay at the end of the G1 in 2020 to get to this moment, like this is like what we've been talking about for a long time for Will Ospreay after Kenny Omega left, and he was obviously the most talented guy in that locker room. And he showed improved to get to this point, and they executed it, and we got here, and this match was incredible. In one of these years, Ospreay is going to beat Okada in a big spot, and like say what you want to about the people that don't like him and all that kind of stuff. On that day, he won't just be the best wrestler in the world or best worker in the world. He will be a legend with a capital L. So look forward to it.
Get ready.
Look forward to it.
Number 7, Kota Ibushi versus Jay White, Wrestle Kingdom Night 2. I thought this was so dramatic of a match. I went in completely unspoiled, which helped, I would say, a lot. It went 48 minutes. I remember that, and it didn't feel too long for me. It's the longest main event ever in the Dome. It just felt like this big match where like Jay White hit Kota Ibushi with everything, and he would not die. And I'll just never forget like the drama of that match. Even in a clap crowd, I could feel it.
Number 7 for me, Bryan Danielson versus Kenny Omega, AEW Dynamite Grand Slam, September 22nd. I remember thinking, I remember like once the word came out that Danielson and CM Punk may be on the way, like this may have been the first match I thought about was Danielson versus Omega. And to see them go out there for a half-hour draw and more or less do what I thought they could do, it was awesome. Like I'll always remember that freaking long full walkway V trigger from Omega where he feels like he jumps, like he like long jumps into this man with a knee. Just an awesome match.
That man jumped in Brooklyn and landed in Queens.
Yeah, it was awesome. And I draw is appropriate. There's going to be another one, and it's going to be even better than this one because as great as the match was, there was stuff left in the tank.
Yep. Number 6, Adam Page versus Kenny Omega. All Elite Wrestling, Full Gear. This is the big title change, a big win for Hangman Page. But Kenny Omega made him fucking earn that shit. This shit kind of echoed Tanahashi and Omega. When Kenny's dropping the title, he's going to go all out and really work his ass off. That Sunset Flip Powerbomb was really great. I love when the Young Bucks came out and kind of like, paid it back kind of to Page, like, hey man, like it's your time to be, step up, be the man, win. And that kind of gave him a little bit, a very emotional moment with all these guys and the fans. And I think Heyman beats Kenny, wins the belt, everyone celebrates, pays off the story of the promotion thus far. They silence a lot of people that thought they were headed for some Starcade '97 type shit and weren't going to do the right finish, and all these people, these doom and gloomers that were just wishing something like that would happen instead of like knowing what the fuck was going on and actually being ahead. I thought it was a great match. Totally fitting. Popped a number on the buy rate. I think it's like their second biggest show ever. And, you know, great match.
Number 6 for me, the Young Bucks versus Lucha Bros, AEW World Tag Team Title Cage match, AEW All Out, September 5th. I don't know at what point during the match, but I was sitting there thinking like, yo, they've somehow done it again. Like, I don't think that this is, and you know, me, you know, Rich, you've seen me plenty of times where like I see a match and I feel like in the middle I'll look at you and I'll be like, we on pace. When I say we on pace, like this shit is tracking like it's gonna be a 5-star match. And you know, there's plenty of times where it happened. Like I didn't say this one out loud, but I was like, what I was saying in my mind was like done again was like they're like damn near on pace with like their match with the Golden Lovers and their match with Hangman and Omega, and ultimately didn't end as high as that, but the match didn't go as long as those matches. And it's just like so impressive to see them in a cage, have some restraint to not do anything that could have killed them in the way that like their ladder match went 2 years ago, or in 2019. But they're the two best tag teams that I've ever saw my eyes in a live setting, and like to see them together is always just a special thing. And you know, here's to more over the next coming years.
Right. Number 5, Shuri versus Takumi Iroha from the 5-Star Grand Prix. I was making short clips. I was commentating over them. I was watching these two women use their feet and kick the holy living shit out of each other in the chest, in the face, in the arm, wherever you want it. Like it was some Tupac Shakur. How do you want it? That's how these feet was coming. Like just absolutely violent. Like one of the most violent matches you ever see. And it's like they let like if we show like you know these people that are afraid to see women hit each other, like they saw this match, they would curl up in terror. And it was like it was a 20-minute draw, just absolutely phenomenal. We'll never forget that match. Hope we get another one this year. Takumi comes in and gets her title shot because they went to a draw this year, and then Shuri can get the dub.
Yeah, sorry, JD. You have to deal. You're just gonna have to deal with these Takumi Iroha classics versus the top of Stardom. I'm sorry. Yeah, number 5 for me, Tam Nakano versus Mayu Iwatani, white belt match. Stardom Osaka Dream Cinderella from October 9th. This is a match that I have been waiting for. I mean, ever since they split up at the end of 2020. These are my two favorite wrestlers in the world, and they have this special bond of friendship and unrequited love, and it turns into I don't think that I can be where I want to be without you or with you. So I'm going to go walk away and to chase after what I really want now, because I know what I want, and the other person not understanding it and feeling betrayed, and they're both right and they're both wrong. But that's not as much important as like the part where after years of being, you know, the lesser, they're now equals, and they go out there, and in my opinion, it was the best selling match of filled with selling all throughout the year of just two people slugging the hell out of each other, and one selling a ribs and a gut injury, the other one selling a neck injury, and them coming down to a stretch of just beating the shit out of each other inside the ring, outside the ring. Ref, get out the fucking way. We'll beat you up too if you get in our way of us trying to destroy each other. To suplexes, to raw headbutts over and over and over from your feet, from on your knees all the way up to your feet. And just this closing stretch of the champion after years of being the number 2 or right hand woman for Mayu, just like finally she has a shot to beat her, but the time runs out and she just heartbroken that like she's a dreamer and she sets all these goals and she's so goal oriented. And the one thing that she sees is like the only step left for her really is to prove to Mayu that like I was always deserving of your respect and your love, and couldn't beat her. Couldn't beat her. It was heartbreaking. It was gutting. It was awesome. Love that match.
Number 4, Shuri versus Utami, no time limit, red belt championship change. In a lot of ways, the red belt quest for Shuri was this thing you weren't sure was going to happen. Stardom looks like, in my opinion, is a promotion that, if you're on top, if you're not Mayu Iwatani, you're younger. You know, you're in your early 20s. You're you're kind of new or whatever. Shuri came in like she's not like she's a beautiful woman that's not a traditional like beauty. Like she's not like Julia like coming in and it's like, oh, she's a fucking supermodel. Of course she's like gonna get the big push and stuff like that, but Shuri
she's not Tamils like a cartoon anime character,
right? Yeah. And like she's like a heart-filled fighter, and Tommy's like this stoic kind of like just swaggy like champion or whatever. And this year was about those two wrestlers, I think, and it was an insane chemistry, better than the first match. Actual championship change, 36 minutes. She breaks out a new finisher completely to win. After they do the 43-minute match, they do the draw, and then this. So this is like 90 minutes of wrestling. We still haven't found out who's better yet. And then at the end, she's standing with the trophy, the red belt, and she won it for her mom and all this stuff. And it's like, 5 stars easily, and match of the year. It was just great. And I think that if you liked the first match, you didn't see the second one, don't worry about it being spoiled. Just go find it. It's better. The people that watch this stuff normally know it's better.
That was a good synopsis. I'm gonna have to try to what's something new. All right, number 4 for me. Walter versus Ilya Dragonov, NXT UK title match, WWE NXT Takeover 36, August 22nd. This is basically my slobber knocker of the year. In much of the fashion from last year when I gave it all types of love and respect. This is another version of it in front of a crowd that is absolutely eating it up. And in a crowd setting where it's harder for the strikes in the brutality to reverberate around the empty arena off the walls, it still filled up the building, and the crowd ate it up, and it almost felt like they were in they may as well have been in the freaking the gladiatorial coliseum. Walter, at many times throughout the years, it just felt like if he wasn't the best wrestler in the world, he was the best champion. This person that always had these matches that just felt like they just felt real. He beat the shit out of people. It just felt real. And to see Dragonov after that first match where he got destroyed all throughout and showed all that heart, like finally overcome, and slaps that hits that freaking hidden headbutt, basically. Not a hidden blade, a hidden headbutt, and then he slaps on that choke and gets Walter out. And Walter it's just like he taps out immediately, like was shocking. It's an incredible match, an incredible tele triumph over a person that just could not beat Walter, and he's like Craig to finally he's Craig, the only person to finally beat Debo, and quite honestly, if I had been Dragonov that situation, I would have been picked up that brick and used it, or that gun. If it but Ilya, he went a long way with it, in the harder way, and he's a champion, and that was awesome match.
Number 3, Adam Page versus Bryan Danielson, 60-minute draw on TV. This match just happened in December, and Winter is Coming. This was in Texas. Bryan Danielson, I think, showed like his full range. This is the first time he was able to do like an hour-long match in a very long time. Hangman, fresh off of his defense, 7 weeks of watching Danielson just torture his friends, and comes in there, and we don't really know how it's gonna go. Like it's a whole thing. It's like, man, a lot of people were pulling for Danielson here to just get the win, and a lot of people pulling for Heyman as a testament to his strength as a babyface character and the work that went into getting him to that level, to where Danielson didn't just drown him. And the match was like so good. By the end, I was rooting for Heyman to win, and this was like I know like a lot of people talked about the commercials. Commercials actually worked for me because it kind of allowed me to catch my breath or whatever. And it was like, it was a match that went 60 minutes, but the 60 minutes flew by. There was blood in it. It was violent. It was like it was full of character, to say the least. Like I felt like I should have been watching that match, and that match should have been in like black and white, and it should have been, or it should have existed in another time. Like it was like a territory match that was like full of like updated wrestling, of course, but Danielson has like it was this thing that I discovered about Hangman too, where it was just like this never say die kind of feeling that he has, and it's carried him kind of through his reign. It was like it was a great way to start off, even though it's like kind of untraditional, draw for your champion after they win their first defense. I think it worked out. I don't think we really expected them to go to 60 minutes, and they did, and it was like you didn't feel robbed.
Yeah. Number 3 for me, Utami Hayashishita versus Shuri Red Belt match from Stardom Tokyo Dream Cinderella from June 12th. Rich talked about this match earlier. I'll give more background. Shuri in last year's 5-star Grand Prix, which is the equivalent of Stardom's G1, in the middle of the tournament, Shuri mother passes away, and she ended up missing one show, and she had to forfeit 2 points, and then she comes back, and at the day after, and she wrestles in a tournament match. We get to the final night, and she has to do double duty because she has to make up for time she missed her to deal with funeral plans for her mother or whatever, or funeral arrangements, whatever you want to call it. And she has a great match with Micah underling in her own faction, and then she wrestles Utami for the first time in a singles match. So this is the second match of the night, and she just gives it to Utami. And ultimately, it goes to a 20-minute time limit draw, and Utami then has to go face Himeka, who she overcomes her. Vince McMahon, Utami faces the Giant to get over before she gets the title. Utami becomes a champion, and throughout the beginning of the year, they're just in these tags together, and they're just killing each other. And I'm just growing more and more anticipation, and I'm just telling Rich, like, hey man, when they get in, like, you got to see these. I've been telling about these tags, but when they have this match, it's gonna be going fucking off. And Rich is seeing some of these Road to Show matches, and he's into it too. And like by the time we get to the hype for this match, by the time we get to the time for the match, we're both like, yeah man, we got the 4.5 just penciled in. This is just gonna be great. One of the best matches in Stardom. In a few years, and it's gonna be fun. And man, like I watched that match live, and they get to the 30-minute time limit, and I just cannot believe it. Like, yo, this is a great match, but obviously the draw sucks. I want to see someone beaten clean, but Shuri asked for a restart, and Utami wants it to because they just want to settle this, and like Rossi grants it, and then the bell rings, and they run into each other, and it may as well have been like Agent Smith and Neo in the Matrix crash each other in one of them crazy CGI scenes, or some Dragon Ball Z shit. and they waylay each other, and there's head drops and suplexes and hard as fuck kicks, and they keep basically trying to decide to finish by, I'm going to drop you on your head and you're not going to get up. And lo and behold, every single time the next person keeps getting up over and over and over again until finally, after 13 minutes of them basically having, after a 30-minute match, after like a 30 seconds of rest, they have a 13-minute sprint where they beat the living shit out of each other. They both collapse upon each other, and it's a double knockout. Ref calls it. They both can't continue. Shuri, after the story I just laid out to you about how she wants to win this title for her, she after what she went through in that tournament to get her shot finally, after failing the first time against Mayu, later in at the end of 2020, to have another shot to dedicate this to her mother, and to fail, and the way that she just grabs into the and literally hugs and goes to a fetal position, in the corner, was just like, I felt for her so much at that point in time. At that point, it felt like I just have to see her with this fucking belt. She deserves it. She had, by that point in time, like, just from her wrestling, she had just became one of the best wrestlers in the world. She already was, but like, it was apparent that like this was her year to win it. And stay tuned.
Yeah, man. Number 2, Matt Jackson and Nick Jackson versus Pentagon and Ray Phoenix cage match. When we talk about the Midnights and Rock and Rolls, and the goddamn Fantastics, and whoever the fuck else you want to pull out from, like, the 80s, have great rivalries, great tag teams, Brain Busters, Heart Foundation, and whatever, Demolition, a lot of
FTR.
shit like that. FTR,
Another 80s ass tag team.
These when the Lucha Bros and the Young Bucks hook it up, no matter what stipulation it is, it can be a regular match, it can be a ladder match, it can now be a cage match. Legendary shit is going to happen. They're going to drop 50. They're going to push the boundaries of the sport, and like in the most contemporary way kind of possible, whether it's a Canadian destroyer off the ladder through a table, whether it's something as like unique as like, hey, we've been doing this gimmick with the Jordans. I'm gonna have Brandon Cutler throw us a fucking bag, and there's gonna be Travis Scott Jordans, like, equipped with spikes for us to do super kicks with. Just lots of creativity. Another peak of this legendary rivalry. Like, this is like almost like some Cavs and Warriors shit. It's like there are two fucking teams that are just gonna keep coming back together. That that is just gonna be a war. It's gonna be all time excellence, and it's going to be not close to anything that you can even try to compare to it. Like, I don't know who or like people talk about the Usos and the New Day. I love their Hell in a Cell match from 2017. This was light years ahead of that one, and it was like, you see the Young Bucks, and they get a lot of flack for their style, and then I'm always confused by it, because I'm like, well, what can't they do? Like, you want them to fight hard, they can do that. You want them to be Southern style, taggers, they can do that in their sleep better than FTR. You want them to just go out there and just go fucking insane, they can do that as well. You want them to fight a young team, yeah, they can make a young team look like they're one of the best teams in the world. And then you start talking about like Ray Phoenix and Pentagon. It's like the heart on those guys, like, they're wearing masks, but you can fucking see through the mask, like, in their faces, like what they're feeling, like, especially like Pentagon, like, Ray Phoenix, just like he did this big dive off the cage, and it was the only real big dive of the match, but it was like, I never want to hear about no Jimmy Snuka diving off in some 8-foot cage. I never want to hear about, Mankind falling off the cage, stuff like that. Like, Ray Phoenix jumped into the Chicago sky, touched the Sears building, and then came down on there, and then they won the fucking World Tag Team titles. Like, as they just, took the Young Bucks and Lucha Brothers rivalry to the fucking pantheon. Like, you name a tag team rivalry that's fucking with this one, you can't. I promise you. Like, unless it's like Holy Demon Army, Masawa, and Kobashi. Like we're talking about tag teams. This is it. This is class. This is the premier level. Like, I ain't wearing no Young Buck shirt for no reason. Respect the fucking Bucks and the Lucha Bros.
Yeah. Number 2 for me, Utama Hashishita versus Shuri, red belt in SWA belt, no time limit match, Stardom Dream Queendom, December 29th. Picking off where I left off, Shuri, she goes through that Grand Prix and she just murders everyone she can, to get to this moment again, to fulfill the promise to her mother. And they have this match, and it's basically the same exact match. Like, there you can almost go like time cues, like at the 5-minute mark of the first match just happens, at the 10-minute mark of similar things happen, 15, 20, whatever else. It's not exactly the same, but like they're definitely like paying homage to the first match. It got so much praise, except this match is having a winner. And I think the deciding factor between this match and the last one was the first match had a 30-minute time limit. These are two of the best conditioned wrestlers in the world, and they were able to need all Utami needed was 30 seconds to be able to where she'd lose her title. But once she gets to a time when there's no time, there's no breaks, there's no place to hide, it's over. And there were great moments of dramatics in the last 5 minutes of the match after they get past the last 6 minutes of the match. Once they get past the 30-minute mark, they both have each other in submissions. Shuri gets that stretch muffler, and Utami screaming. She's screaming, just hopeless, like she's not getting rose, but she eventually does. And Utami, who's been putting people away and won the red belt with a Black Tiger Bomb, hits Shuri with one, and Shuri kicks. I think she's the first person to ever kick out of it. And Shuri ends up hitting her Emerald Flosion, doesn't get her down. Utami fights back. Shuri snuffs out the last of it. Shuri gets her up on her shoulders in electric chair position, and like she ends up dropping her with a one-wing Emerald Flosion, and I was just like, that's it. I jumped out my seat, I put my hands in the air, and I'm like, that's it. I'm literally counting 1, 2, 3 with the ref, and Shuri fulfilled the promise to her mother after, a 18-month story basically of wanting to do this. And like, it is, you're filled with all this joy. Like her protege that she helped through the business, Konami's on commentary. She's taken a step away from Stardom in pro wrestling for now with her health concerns. She's on Japanese commentary. Everybody from her faction is around ringside, and she's celebrating. She has the belt. She takes this picture that's now up on in her history section of the site, and she just looks regal. It looks like that belt was always an extension of her, and that's her first time ever touching it. And she walks out, and she hugs everybody in her faction, and then she doubles back and she hugs Konami and walks off into the sunset, and it was just a great moment. Just like, it was real sports. And in this fake fighting, that was real sports. This happens to everyone in life, and lose people, and you go through life and all that kind of stuff. And she encapsulated all that over 18 months. It was just incredible.
Yeah, man. Number 1, Bryan Danielson versus Kenny Omega, Arthur Ashe Stadium. My two favorite wrestlers of all time meeting each other for the first time on a major stage. 22,000 in the building. New, unique setting for wrestling. AEW as a promotion, first real step in New York, like kicking over the buildings, literally, like Snoop Dogg and the Dog Pound, how they was kicking over the buildings and saying New York belong to us now. That's what this was, and it was a legendary match. I know James said he would never forget the V trigger that happened with Kenny running down the ramp like the Great Muta. I will never forget him doing the goddamn V trigger. No, not the V trigger. The damn Snapdragon, and then Brian Danielson sliding down the damn ramp was excellent. Kenny's heat segments were incredible. The opening of the match, as I mentioned, like the Rock Austin, or excuse me, the Rock Hogan of this time, like as far as like you just seeing these guys talking shit to each other, like, hey man, ain't nowhere to run now, like you in here with me, and they were both saying it to each other. It was like Kenny like dropped he dropped before the match. Danielson said, I don't want the goof, I want the real guy that I know is inside you, and then the real guy fucking showed up, and Kenny debuted New Gear that night, that blue joint. It was just a masterpiece and a match of equals, a draw that they were fighting at the end. Like there was no one that had the advantage. It wasn't about even the title. It was about who's better. And James just talked about real sports. There's nothing more sports than who's the better man. And even a title doesn't even need to be on the line. Like this is like a great regular season game that breaks out, that just goes to several overtimes. But imagine they just ended it, and instead of letting them keep going. But this was a match we all wanted. As soon as Danielson came in, there's one guy. When people come in, you got to fight Kenny. Like they didn't come for Cody. They didn't come for Mox. They didn't come for whoever. Like they're coming for Kenny. Like that's who these people showing up for. And they're coming. And Danielson came in, and you see where they put him. And it was like it did an incredible business. It went on first, but it was the real main event. Come on, we know what this is. And Arthur Ashe was like low key, like one of the biggest shows of the year. Like it was, he started talking about attendance and the importance of the stage. It was my favorite match of the year. I can't wait till they run it again, and I think that it's going I don't think people are going to forget this one, because like you never forget the first one, and maybe the alignments are changed next time. Maybe Kenny's the face next time and Danielson's like the heel, and that would be an interesting like twist on it, and I would think that would be great as well. But just love this match a whole lot. Like nothing felt bigger this year than Danielson and Omega.
Number one for me, Julia versus Tam Nakano, white belt in hair versus hair match, Stardom All-Star Dream Cinderella, March 3rd in Budokan Hall. Oh man. This match is the culmination of a lot of things. It's a combination of Tam Nakano's character arc from comedy geek to the top of the world. It is her culmination of showing the arc of being a being a brat and selfish, into being a person that's dedicated to a goal, into then becoming a leader of women in her own right. And it is a culmination of something that's very, very relatable, which is people have dreams and goals, and what are you willing to do to change and sacrifice to reach them? All of that came into place in this one match, versus a woman that from the second she came to promotion was given everything, and rightfully so, because she's a megastar. And this is her one time to lose for now. But this is the match to show you that everything that they gave her from the day she steps in the building, she was worth all that and then some. So shut the fuck up, buckle up, and enjoy the ride. These two spent the summer into the fall being the living shit each other everywhere, up and down. And at the end of it, it was Julia with the top faction that she's at the face of, Julia with the championship, and Julia with the 2-1 advantage in the series in singles. In order for Tam to catch up, she has to give up the person she loves the most, the person that saved her early in her career when she was basically exiled into nothingness, or looking that way. The person that gave her opportunity to get better and become from a terrible wrestler to one of the best wrestlers in the world from her guidance, had to step away from that mentorship to then lead her own faction and teach people the way that she was taught from the person that she left to reach to this moment. And to be able to get that title to prove that like leaving Mayu was worth it. And in this match, her and Julia both dropped 50 in 19 minutes. It was awesome. There is a spot with there is a power driver through the table. There's a spot where in 2021, the best Destino in a match all year long, where Tam turns Julia's glorious driver into a makeshift Destino. There's an incredible slap battle that would just, like Rich said earlier, like the people that are the safe police when it comes to the women in American wrestling, they would go into a fetal position watching this. There is the unleashing of the Steiner screwdriver from Tam, and then there is the super finish that she has been saving in her back pocket for a year or 15 months since she first debuted it. This is an incredible piece of rivalry storytelling, an incredible piece of singles match on its own, Lucy storytelling, if you will, in like an incredible piece of arc and development in triumph. This woman went from comedy geek manager to the top of the hottest wrestling promotion in the world, or the hottest, or the one that's getting the hottest. And this match set the foundation for what Stardom's year was and what it will be going forward. Like the Shuri and Utami matches took another standard, but like this was step one of that, and we're going to see what the Observer Awards look like tomorrow. And I gotta say, like, you're going to see a lot of top 10 places for a lot of Stardom wrestlers, and this was the start of it for a lot of eyes to get in on it.
Yeah, so those are our 10 favorite matches. Another year of doing the award show for One Nation Radio.